Hi there, welcome. My name is Nicole with morningchores.com. Today is an exciting video. Well, maybe not so much for my hens, but for me and you as the viewer. Today's video is what it's like to take your hens to the processing plant to turn them into meat. If you're new here, welcome. You may have missed the previous video, and this video is a spin-off of that video, but in the previous video I talked about why my chickens have stopped laying their eggs, and I go through all those reasons why, and then I kind of crunch the numbers with you on would it be more expensive to feed them and keep them through winter, or just go ahead and have them processed into meat. And obviously, based on today's video, we decided to process them into meat. So today's video is exciting because I'm going to talk you through the whole process of what it takes to take them to a processing plant, what you need to do to get your hens ready and prepared, as well as the whole process of dropping them off and what I get in return. So what is a poultry processing plant? A poultry processing plant is a facility that basically takes your chickens and processes them and turns them into meat. So basically by the end they look like the kind of meat you would buy at the grocery store. So these companies kind of do all of that messy work for you so that you don't have to do it yourself. And it really is a nice option, especially if you have a lot of hens to process. Now, I was kind of in that in-between number where I didn't have quite enough where I could have really done it on my own, but it was enough to where it would have been a little inconvenient and it was just easier to just have them do it. But usually these processing plants are mom and pop shops. They're, locally family owned, and they're usually around in rural areas where there's lots of farmland, especially small farms. How do you go about finding one of these places? And that's the first step I'd like to share. So in order to find a reputable processing plant, my best piece of advice is to ask around. Ask in your community, ask local farmers. I did do a quick Google search and I found a few, but most of them were really far away, like 2-hour driving distance, which just was not feasible for me. So I would encourage you to just ask around and see who everybody recommends. So I kind of did a little bit of both. I asked around, and luckily the place that got recommended to me the most was also a place that I found in a quick, easy internet search. So ask around, Google search it, see what you come up with, and go from there. Once you have decided on your processing plan, you basically just make a phone call and set up an appointment. And usually how it works is you drop your hens off the night before they will be processed. Basically, they want to get them kind of ready to go at their facility so that the next day they can just kind of get into it and get the whole thing done. Supplies are pretty easy with this. The only supply you really need is you need some type of crate to transport your hens from your property to the processing plant. So the number one recommendation is a chicken crate. I debated back and forth whether to actually purchase one of these because we do have a dog crate, and the lady I spoke to on the phone at the processing plant, she said that we could bring them in really anything, whether it's a cardboard box or a dog crate, and then they would just transfer those into a chicken crate when we got there. But I decided to go ahead and buy the chicken crate just because we plan on having more chickens in the future, and we may also have other animals, so I figured it would come in handy just to have them. So I just went ahead and bought them, and I'm so glad I did because the chicken crate made it so much easier to get them in and transport them to the processing plant. So how does the process work? It's very simple. Basically, what the lady told me on the phone is to get them crated sometime before drop off. So I was supposed to drop them off on a Tuesday between 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. at night. So what I chose to do is I chose to crate them the night before. So I crated them on Monday night. And the reason I did that is chickens are more docile at night. So it's always easier to get a hold of them and put them in something, or if you need to take them and check on them or whatever, it's just easier to handle chickens at night because they're more docile. So I chose to put them in their crates Monday night. I would have filmed myself loading the hens into the chicken crate, but I had to do it at nighttime as I explained in the video earlier, and it was also during a snowstorm, so it's just not feasible for me to record that. But basically how you load the hens in is you pick them up around, putting your hands over their wings so that they don't flap their wings, and you want to hold firm, not too tight but not too loose, I kind of equate it to like a bar of soap. You know, you don't want to hold a wet bar of soap too tight or it'll fly out of your hand. But you also don't want to hold it too loose or it'll just fall by the wayside. So hold them firm with your hands over their wings. And then when I put them in the crates, this is spring loaded, so it just opens like this, just like that. And you put them in head first. And then once they're in there, they just kind of go in there. So it was really easy. I have 6 hens in this one, and I have 5 in that one. I probably wouldn't put any more than 6. I mean, they have enough space, but you couldn't fit any more hens. So I'm just going to cover these with a towel for overnight, and then I'll probably uncover them in the morning so they can get some sunlight. It's supposed to be warmer tomorrow. So, and then I'm supposed to take their water away at noon tomorrow, and then I'll be taking them into the processing plant by the afternoon. So I put them in their crates, and I went ahead and kept them in the garage, and I attached some water feeders to the crates so that they had access to water. The lady on the phone told me to take their water away at noon the day of drop-off. So the next day I took their water away at noon, and then I went ahead and took them to the processing plant and dropped them off between 5:30 and 6:30. And it was very simple. I literally just dropped them off, and they gave me a form in return and told me when pickup time was. And pickup time is 2 days later, so I dropped them off Tuesday night. They were getting processed on Wednesday, and then I'm supposed to go pick up my meat on Friday during business hours. So it really was very, very simple. So I'm back home. I picked up my chickens. They're now in my freezer. So I just wanted to give a recap about the whole experience, what I thought about, and then I'm going to share my final bill of what it actually cost me to get my hens turned into meat. So overall, I was very happy with the experience. The company I worked with was very professional, and I liked that they are open to smaller farms and homesteads, so people that don't have, 100 to 1,000 chickens that they're getting processed. I only had 11, so it was nice that they were willing to work with me just as much as the big guy. It was very streamlined. I literally just dropped them off. They told me to come back Friday, and when I picked them up, they were refrigerated and in a box. So they looked like just what you would buy at the grocery store, and I immediately came home and put them in my freezer. Now, the one concern I had was that one of my hens would be discarded, because they did tell me because they're inspected by the state and they have to abide by the laws and guidelines to keep things safe and clean. They said if they found anything in my hens, they would be discarded, but that did not happen. I got all 11 of my hens back. So my final bill was actually cheaper than what I estimated. So they had given me an estimated price, and I shared that in the previous video, but my actual bill was only $72. So it was actually significantly cheaper, and the reason that is because some of my hens were very small. So they kind of take into consideration that when they give you the final bill, and that $72 also included the $20 small flock fee that I had to pay. So if you didn't watch the previous video, what I learned is that if you have less than 20 hens, a lot of times these poultry processing plants will charge you an extra $20 fee, basically just to make it worth their time, because a lot of times they have farms bringing in hundreds of chickens at one time. So the little guy, they have to make it worth their time, and I get it. But even with the $20 extra fee, it was still very reasonable. So here's what my chickens look like. They are completely frozen. One of my bigger hens was 4.175 pounds, but my smaller ones were from 2 to 3 pounds, and most of them are this size. Again, these were laying hens, they're not meat chickens, so I knew going into this that they would be smaller. How they'll taste, I'm not really sure. These are older hens, and from everything I've read, the older the hen, the less tasty it is. But I guess we'll see. I'll probably make soup or just roast a whole chicken with potatoes and carrots, and maybe I'll do a video just to give a review on how it tasted. But overall, I was very happy with the experience. The whole entire process was very easy, very streamlined, so I would definitely recommend it and do it again. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you found it helpful. If you haven't checked out the previous video, definitely go back and check that out, because I give a lot more information on just why I chose to do this, and I talk a little bit about why my chickens stopped laying eggs. So that's a really good video. You can also take the time to head over to morningchores.com. There's all kinds of information over there about chickens, animal husbandry, gardening, homesteading, you name it, it's over there. So check the link in the description box below. I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you on the next one.